How's the Rubric family today? I hope you all are doing extremely well. Here Jean Paul and myself, we're right here once again. Rubric says welcome to all of you. Thank you to the newest fans. Thank you to the new people that are subscribing, liking the page on Facebook, liking to the page on YouTube. We're always pretty thankful for everything that you do. And today we have NXT for you guys. And Jean Paul and our prayers have been heard by the Lord or Triple H, because Triple H is actually giving us what we want. A lot of predictions that we said are actually becoming realities, and that's awesome. And the main theme of the show, we have a triple threat match for the NXT Championship that it will take place for number one contender for the NXT Championship next week, because the show for December 18th is really packed.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be their last show for the year. And AEW is doing the same thing, too, because then the following week is Christmas Day, and they're not going to, wrestle, live on Christmas Day. So they're both, this is like mini pay-per-views. You could almost say that they're building up for these shows.
I like that word.
On both, both brands. So, it'll be great. And my boy Keithley is in there, and there's so many storylines. A lot of people are invested in Finn Balor. They want to see Balor be the champion, and I'm one of them too. I'm a big fan of Finn Balor, but everybody, Tommaso Ciampa is like the obvious winner from that. But then there's Keithley. Is Keithley, is this going to just be his last hurrah and then go up to the main roster? Who knows what they're going to do. So it's definitely going to be a must-watch episode.
It's an interesting show, and this one that we're about to cover was absolutely great. And before we start, we want to mention two big things. The first one, the ratings came up, and AEW beat NXT on the ratings by 6,000 people. What are your thoughts about that?
Which that's really close. And like I said, I feel with a lot of people didn't watch last week, and I don't know what that was. Whether they just didn't like the card, maybe their fans might not be invested in like the intricate story, because the story in NXT, everything kind of comes together. All the stories kind of intertwine, and everything is just really cohesive, like really solid story.
That's the word.
Cohesive, yeah. So, and then on AEW, you kind of have like one or two major stories, and that's it. And then the rest is just really good wrestling. So they might have saw, hey, this card's not very loaded. Nobody's wrestling on this show. It's the day before Thanksgiving. I'm just going to go out and drink. I'm not going to watch. Or they were watching NXT because NXT was putting on a better show. But then this week they came out with a loaded show match-wise. You had both Lucha Bros in singles matches. You had the six-man tag to open the show. Jericho you knew was going to be on, and Jericho's always must-see on AEW. So right. they had this loaded show. So it doesn't surprise me that they won. And I'm also happy that it was so close. 6,000 isn't, it sounds like a lot, but it's really not a lot of people.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And the Wednesday Night Wars are still on, and you see 1 week is AEW, 1 week is NXT. So, the scale is going, every single week is drifting from one to the other. And once again, we always say this, Jean Paul and I have been stating this since the Wednesday Night Wars started. The only ones that benefit from all of this are we, the fans, the people that are enjoying these shows, because you get great product from AEW, great product for NXT, and this is the time for NXT. Show starts with the return of Mauro Ranallo. Mauro Ranallo came back. No mention of the problem that we had with Corey Graves. No mention absolutely of anything of that. Didn't even acknowledge Michael Cole saying that he lost his voice, or something with his voice, he killed his ears or something. Yeah, he was saying something about it. That no mention of that. Mauro Ranallo went right straight to business, which is good. That's what the man needed to do. Come back to work, come back to what he loves, to his passion, professional wrestling. Good for him. The show started out smooth. He couldn't even say what he was about to say, because he was about to introduce the whole show. Kilian Dain comes out, Jean Paul.
Yep.
Kilian Dain comes out. He's with a mic. He starts calling out Damian Priest. He says that they both have a big rivalry. He said, "Coward, come out." But we know that Damian Priest is actually injured. We don't know for sure if he's a rib or broken rib, or just he's having some problems with one of the ribs. But he doesn't come out there, Pete Dunne.
And this is, and like, you think, Pete Dunne, he had such a great, a weekend, and, that great triple threat match. And then had a great match, the best match on Survivor Series card. And then, he's in this match, and it makes sense because at least it continues. Like, there was a little bit of story there between these three, and, you could definitely have, these two go against each other, when Cameron Grimes comes back, you can do whatever you want. Or Damian Priest, or, yeah,
Yeah,
which one
Damian
is it?
Priest.
Damian
Damian
Priest. Yeah,
Priest.
yeah, Damian
Damian
Priest. And then, you couldn't. So it made sense match wise, and, I don't know if they were expecting him to come back, or if, and then it was like, oh, he wasn't cleared, and then they just threw Pete Dunne in there, or if this was, planned beforehand, but it was a great opening match.
Oh yeah, like see, like you said, and see, these two have a feud already going on. So
Hmm.
if they don't have Damian Priest available, then of course you got to throw Pete Dunne in the mix, and
Yeah.
they turn the house down.
Oh,
Not the
yeah.
way that like the cruiserweights will do, or like the six-man tag in Dynamite. Very
Hmm.
different style, more stiff strikes.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
the pace is a little slower, but on the same in the same time you can see good moves, you can see good wrestling, springboard. Both guys, Kilian Dane, even though he's a massive guy, he can put out really good moves. Cannonball is really good, and
Hmm.
the bruiserweight, Pete Dunne, what he can do. Of course,
Oh,
he's gonna
yeah.
pull out the move with the fingers. He has like hard strikes. He has like the bitter end. He did his moonsault. Yeah, they had like really good spots throughout the match, and I really enjoyed it. At the
Yeah.
end, though, here's what I wanted to ask you. Killian Dane hit, of course, the cannonball, and Pete Dunne was trying to go for the bitter end counter. Killian Dane gets the win. What are your thoughts on this?
Killian Dane, he needed the win because, like we always say, Pete Dunne is one of those guys. He's untouchable. Like, he can lose and then he can get one or two wins and he's already in title contention because he's so good. He's so popular. Fans are hot behind him. And Killian Dane, if you make him lose, you can't really keep making him lose because then what do you do with him? And at least the ending, it was, the way it was, Pete Dunne had him in the sleeper, and it was like Pete Dunne could have, he could have choked him out and won, but Killian Dane lost consciousness, fell down, and then the weight of him, collapsed on top of Dunne, 1, 2, 3. So it wasn't like a real clear, decisive. It wasn't like he hit the Vader bomb, 1, 2, 3. It wasn't, it wasn't like he pinned him like that or anything. So definitely sets up another rematch. Who knows? They could book these guys for the 18th. You don't know what they're gonna do. But after the match, though, Killian Dane, he did do for the title. Like,
He was,
he
yeah,
was,
he
yeah.
was signifying. He was like
Hmm.
showing like he wants a NXT championship match, which I feel it will be good for Killian Dane. Like
Hmm.
he hasn't really gotten
Oh,
to the
yeah.
place that he could be because
Hmm.
out of the San and the members of Sanity, he was the one appointed like to be like the biggest one of all of them
Oh,
because
yeah.
of how good of in the ring
Yeah.
he is.
Remember, I think he was in that North American when they had the ladder match. I think he
Absolutely,
was
he
in that,
was in that
and
match.
he was one of the ones who stole the show in that match.
Exactly. Like so,
So.
Killian Dane was actually appointed to be one of the main event players for NXT.
And I'm nothing against him back then, but he's lost a lot of weight since then, and he's still a big man. Like you said, this match wasn't it was high flying for what it was, but Killian Dane wrestles that big man style, and then he does some high flying moves. Pete Dunne is that strong British strong style, but it was a great match, and Killian Dane I think is even better than he was then. So you could put him in a match with Adam Cole and they could give you a 4-star match easy if you give him enough time. So I
I
don't see any
absolutely believe
reason.
that.
Yeah, so I think, the right guy won just because we've seen Pete Dunne in a match. What would Pete Dunne get out of this? We just saw him have a title shot. So to give Pete Dunne the win, it wouldn't make any sense because he's not feuding with the Undisputed Era. So it wasn't like he would call out Roderick Strong or anybody. So give Killian Dane the win and let him move forward here.
I absolutely agree with you. Like that. That's how the whole thought process should go with Killian Dane. Like
Hmm.
Pete Dunne, he already had his shot against Cole. He couldn't beat him. He's not a champion. Hey, start booking Killian Dane in a better manner, so we can
Hmm.
actually believe that he can either go for like that NXT championship or maybe the North American. You don't know, but like
Yeah.
the guy at least is a good showing for him. Is a meaningful win over Dunne. And like you said, who knows? Maybe they can go back to this on the 18th, or maybe Damian
Mhm.
Priest will come back. Who knows
Yeah.
when it comes to this? But at the end of the day, it's a good thing for Kilian Dain because he does deserve to have a better spot
Mhm.
on NXT because that's why they brought him back.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
moving forward, then we have Kathy Lee interviews Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai is still showing the knee brace from Tegan Knox. She mentions that she changed her attitude, and then she's gonna go after Rhea Ripley this week. And she said that in the end of the day, the same thing that happened to Mia Ying is gonna happen to Rhea Ripley. So I still enjoy the heel
Yeah.
turn. I think that she looks even better as a heel. I don't know, she looks even
Oh, yeah.
sexier. I want to say her appeal is a little better. Like her
Yeah,
delivery is good.
they definitely, because when she was in Team Kick and all that, it had more of like a, like when Bayley was the baby face, the more like the real kid friendly. Now when you turn heel, they got to mature you up a little bit. The same thing they did with Io Shirai. Io Shirai went from, she was more like, that had the red, and she came out with the tiger, the mask. So, and it looked, it was more like appealing. And now, when you're heel, you have the dark makeup on, you look more mature. So that they did the same thing with her. And, when she called out Rhea Ripley, I didn't think it was going to be something where, oh, we're going to get her and Rhea Ripley, tonight. And then obviously we'll get into that when it comes. But I didn't, I like her that she's calling them out. Like, she's not scared of Rhea Ripley, even though,
Yeah.
as intimidating as she is. So it's a good heel turn. And
It's
yeah,
it's a
I like
different
it.
attitude because the
Yeah.
Dakota Kai that we were used to is like the cartoonish or the
Mhm.
innocent, the
Yeah.
childish Dakota Kai that, like you said, like like if she wins a match, good. If she loses, I put my best effort. I did what I
Mhm.
could, but in the end of the day, I'm still a loser.
Yeah.
But now is the Dakota Kai that is actually going after something. She's
Mhm.
determined. She wants to become the women's champion. She wants to beat every single woman that is against her, and that's really cool to see. And like I
Yeah.
said, probably out of all the heel turns that we've seen throughout 2019, that's got to be top three, I will
Yeah,
say.
this is what I will say, and maybe this is, I feel like this is more of an old fashioned thing. I wouldn't have that you know how we were predicting for weeks. Everyone was, oh, Dakota Kai's gonna turn heel. She's gonna turn heel. I would have had it where she was picked on the War Games team, and it was, she was clear 100% babyface. Her and Tegan Knox, hugging before, maybe even hugging in the pod. When they're all waiting, they're like, you think Dakota Kai's in? There's no hint of a heel turn, and then the door opens and she beats the shit out of Tegan Knox. It should have been blindsided heel turn. This heel turn is great because it was needed, but we all saw it coming. So it
Oh
was one
yeah,
of those, it was predictable. I like when
yeah,
a
it
heel,
was
to me,
predictable.
I
Yes,
would have popped, and I love this heel turn, but I would have loved it 1,000 times more if it was out of the, like, nowhere, like nobody saw it coming. Because
absolutely.
it was
I
so,
I agree with you.
she, like you said, when she was a baby face, it was like, oh, she wouldn't win all the time, and it was like, oh, here's Dakota, she tries her best, but she's still kind of a loser. So it's like, we don't want you on the War Games team because you're kind of a loser. And it was all this disrespect,
Yes,
low
yes.
key throwing shade at Dakota Kai. So it's like you could feel the heel turn coming, and that's like what, it's still great, but it could have been better in my opinion if you would have just made it like that. But that's just because I like it when it's out of nowhere, you
I
know.
when you make me think about these things, I really agree with you because it should have been a lot better. For example, like for me during the
Mhm.
War Games match, if she, let's say that like her team was about to win, and actually she's the one causing them the match, she would
Yeah.
have turned to Rhea Ripley, hey, chair, boom, chair
Mhm.
shot, done,
Yeah,
and then she tells
and
Shayna Baszler.
that's actually what I predicted too. I said I thought she was going to turn on them in the match, not
Yes,
cause it, because that would have been a more believable loss than a 2-on-1 or 2-on-4.
that's the
Victory
stuff
for
that
the
we got at
for
War
the
Games. Yes.
yeah, but yeah. So, but it was a good segment, to establish her heel character even more.
She yeah, she
Yeah.
she's doing she's developing in this good heel. So that's
Mm-hmm.
good to see. Like I said, her attitude, her delivery, and also the way she's carrying herself is a lot better. So it is convincing enough. Usually,
Yeah.
like you said, it could have been a lot better. Yes, because they kept teasing it, and then for us, we predicted this for like 2 or 3 weeks. We kept saying she's gonna turn, she's gonna turn. Boom, War
Mhm.
Games heel. So we were good on that, but because we kept seeing it. But like you said, out of nowhere, it would have been a lot more meaningful for me, at
Yeah.
least. The next segment we have is like the Undisputed Era comes out. And of course, we have the three members without Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish is still injured. We don't know how severe the injury is. Some of them, they said that after the match last week, he was actually walking, so they don't think it's going to be as bad as originally thought.
Yeah.
And we got Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, all of them in the outside and in the ring. And then, of course, Adam Cole said, like, this 2019 has been the year of the Undisputed Era. Because of them, they were able to win Survivor Series, and because of the Undisputed Era, this year has been absolutely phenomenal for NXT. So they shouldn't be cheering against them. They should be actually supporting them. They should be on their side. They said, and the one thing that was making me laugh is that he acknowledged how Keithley, took him out, and he's like, "Oh, he's
Yeah.
treating me like a rag doll." So it was great. I mean, that was absolutely great. I'm really enjoying that, and I see Adam Cole is really good on the mic. Kyle O'Reilly was really great. Keith Lee comes out, and Keith Lee said that Kyle O'Reilly said that he's the moment maker,
Uh-huh.
and then Keith Lee goes, "No, I'm actually the game changer." So you could see that there's a tease right there, and of course they're talking about the NXT Championship, and of course the people are asking Baz in his glory. You see how Keith Lee's over. And I know
Oh,
you're a
yeah.
big Kid Lee fan. What are your thoughts, in all this thing, how organically Kid Lee is
That
just becoming a main event guy?
That's exactly what I was just gonna say. It was like a slow build. It wasn't anything like they brought Keithley in. It wasn't like he spirit bombed guys in 2 seconds, and it was like, oh, he's here for 1 month and he's already challenging for the NXT Championship. He was a slow build, and it was, he would lose matches that you thought he should have won early on. And this is the one thing where I was happy that NXT went to 2 hours, because now look how many more people are being featured on NXT in the shows at 2 hours. Everybody was worried, thinking, oh, this is just going to be done to combat Dynamite. Why make it 2 hours? Why ruin it? Yeah, it's more time that I have to spend watching wrestling, but that's not always a bad thing, especially when the show's as good as NXT. And it was allowing guys. Now you could have Undisputed Era on almost every show, and you could have guys like Keithley and Dominik Dijakovic. Because if this show was only an hour, those guys might not have been over. They might not have even been on War Games, because they wouldn't have had their great feud and then their team up. And since they were both baby faces and NXT's tag team division is all heels, then they went against the Undisputed Era. But like I said, you might not have even got them as a team if the show was only 1 hour.
It
So,
is true. It
his
is
all of his rise has been slow, and it's been great, and I think that's why the fans are so behind it, because the fans are the ones that really got it there. The fans, and obviously his work ethic. They say he comes in, he never complains. They tell him to go out there, this is what you're going to do. He does it, and he's always, hungry for more. He's not one of those who goes on social media and cries, oh, where's my push? Where's this? Where's that?
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely. Like Kid Lee, yeah, like you said, one of the things is like he's becoming over. He's been over, but it's organically, and also like NXT, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Jarrett, everybody that is involved in creative, they're capitalizing. And
hmm
that is something that the main roster, you don't see these things. You do
yep.
not see, like, for example, when Rusev, remember, Rusev Day was absolutely over. Everybody wanted Rusev in, like, for a title match. They wanted to be champion.
hmm
They never did that. They did the absolute opposite. They actually
hmm
killed the push because he did it on his own. See, Kid Lee is doing it the right way, and when I mean the right way is like they're actually helping him out to be more over. For
Oh,
example, like
yeah.
the great showing he had at the Survivor Series, being the last man doing it for NXT team. All
And
those
it pinned
things you can
Seth
see.
Rollins too. And
Yeah,
that's and that's
he
not a lot. That's not a lot of people. They don't bring. I mean, when I say a lot of people, I mean WWE people, like on the show. They don't bring that up. They just say, "Oh, he was the last man for NXT," and him and Roman Reigns had the fist bump. Nobody says he pinned Seth Rollins.
Yeah, because of course you
So
know this, and
yeah,
I
you
want
try
to
to.
mention, John Paul Eck has a great review of Monday Night Raw, so please check it out. Still, the show is not delivering at all. Some sparks. It's just a cookie. You put a little bit of sparks and just to like make it sweeter, but the show is not really convincing. Also, we have AEW Dynamite, but you're right. They never acknowledge Seth Rollins losing because, of course, they don't want to like put more dirt on
Yeah,
this
they want to
guy.
protect him. Yeah.
They want to protect the dude despite that, there is no way to protect the unprotectable because the guy is completely exposed and the best way for him is to turn heel. But let's go back to the show. Adam Cole is demanding answers because he wants to see why Finn Balor attacked him. Then, from the last episode, while Keith Lee came out, he's not getting what he wants. And of course, there's a big brawl. And Ciampa comes out. They start to help Keith Lee. And in the end, the Undisputed Era leaves all their titles in the ring. They leave. And then you see Ciampa finally getting Goldie back, not in completely back, but at least you get a stare down. You get Ciampa like to see holding Goldie and everything, and so you can see that's your marquee match right there.
I'm gonna predict it here because we keep seeing him pick up Goldie. We saw it before War Games. We're seeing it here. I don't think Keith Lee is. Unfortunately, I think Keith Lee's getting called up. I would like to see Keith Lee remain in NXT. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't. So I don't see Keith Lee winning next week. I see Finn Balor winning next week. Or if Ciampa wins, he's losing next week. I don't see Ciampa winning the title. Only because he keeps picking it up. They keep doing all these hints. Like they want you, they're getting the fans like they want you to want Ciampa to get the belt back. They're really forcing that initiative where it's like, ooh, we want it, we want it, we want it. And then I feel like they're going to be like, no, we're going to give it to Finn.
Finn's going to get it because to me, it can go either way. We're gonna talk even more about this. But I think that this episode is setting it up. You're getting like this vibe that like Ciampa might have a chance. To me, is I want to say 50-50 because it's three people, but for me, each one of them have a chance. Because for example, if they want to book the title match just for the 18th, I think that like the title is not going to change hands anyway.
Oh yeah,
title might change hands for me in the beginning of 2020, in the week of the Royal Rumble. That's when.
And they have that. Is Is that in February?
No, it's actually the Royal Rumble weekend.
Oh, what is it? Or February is the next takeover, I think.
Yeah, the next takeover is takeover in Portland, Oregon. That's when they have it in February.
But the one thing about this segment I did like when Keith Lee and he was standing there in the ring and like you said, he was staring them all down, is he was eyeing them up and they're like, what are you looking at? What are you doing? He's like, I'm just trying to figure out which title I'm going to take first. Because if you think about it, he could challenge for any of these. He's in that triple threat match for Adam Cole's. He could easily say, Regal, haven't I done enough to deserve a match one-on-one with Roderick Strong? And Regal would probably give it to him. And him and Dijakovic, I know they challenged before, but who else is their babyface teams to challenge for the tag team championships again? So he could challenge for any of these belts. So that's what I mean. Like he's so over. He's done so much that he.
Wouldn't you agree that like the superstar that is most over right now, December 5th, 2019 is Keith Lee in the WWE. Even more than The Fiend, even more than Finn Balor. Because to me, Finn Balor, we'll touch on this, but I don't want to mention too much about Finn Balor. So we will go to the next segment. Is Shayna Baszler against Xia Li. Xia Li is a good wrestler, but this time she got a really, poor showing. 4 minutes. She went in the match with Shayna Baszler because of the attack that took place last week. She had a promo. She said that, you guys attacked me from behind after my match. Well, let's see how you can do on a one-on-one. And Shayna Baszler pretty much, make her tap out really quickly. 4 minutes. What are your thoughts on this?
During the match, like you said, Xia Li, she got a little bit of offense in, and Shayna Baszler definitely showed a little bit of fear, in her kicks and stuff. She definitely didn't want to be eating these kicks. It wasn't like a squash match. It was more just like, Shayna Baszler, she waited for the right strike or the right time to strike. I think Xia Li went for some bicycle, some spinning kick or something, and Shayna dodged it. And then once she put on the Kirifuda clutch, it was done. We always complain that they tap out too quickly, but it was one of those things where this match was just, I'd rather have it just be over because I think, they're going to push Xia Li at some point, and, you don't want to see her job out. So it's like, if they're going to do it, just get it over with. Because this was all, this was like the Nyla Rose Leva Bates match from AEW Dynamite. Yeah, this was all just to set up another match. This match really meant nothing. So it was all just to set up, with Ray Ripley. Because then after the match,
it's just to prolong. It's like you said. It's just to it serves for a purpose, but the purpose is not really the match itself, or not even to elevate neither of the part involved. It's
Yeah.
actually to set up for whatever next for like the
Yeah.
main event or like for the marquee match that you have in the women's division, and that is going to be, of course, Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler, and they set up that for the December 18th show. And like you
Hmm.
said, is because both shows, Dynamite and NXT, are just gonna load that up because like the next after that is the next show of the year, because in Christmas they're not gonna have any shows, neither Dynamite nor NXT. So that's the reason
Yeah.
that they're doing like a big, like you said. I really enjoyed the word that you use, a mini pay per view, because that's what's gonna be. What's gonna be. So then after that, we just get to see, like I said, like you mentioned Shayna Baszler made Xia Li tap out. Nothing else on that end. And then we got a tag team match. The Forgotten Sons defeated Adrian Alanis and Leon Ruff. This, like you said, and you already just mentioned it like seconds ago, you just said there's no tag team division on NXT. That is
Hmm.
something that they need to work on. This match was a really squash match. Adrian Alanis got lariats. They got like the finisher from the Forgotten Sons. Leon Ruff got like a double choke slam. This guy's got like a completely
Oh yeah, that
squash.
that choke slam on the outside, that was badass.
It was great. That was
Yeah.
one of the. It was like you said. It was probably most of the devastating moves in 2019. It reminded me of like the Claymore kick on Monday Night Raw, the
Oh, on
dramatic start
Tozawa.
thing to Tozawa. Tozawa did a whole 360.
Hmm.
He sold that beautifully. If you want to believe that the Claymore kick is devastating, just go check that video.
Oh
So
yeah.
your thoughts, Jean Paul? The Forgotten Sons are a decent team, but unfortunately, there's no baby face to feud with them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind seeing a heel on heel. I know that's usually not something that people do. To me, it doesn't matter. If you say, if you're the Forgotten Sons and you say, I don't give a fuck if the Undisputed Era is heel or baby face, that doesn't exist in the wrestling world because it's, that's just all the behind the scenes shit. So it's like, if you think you're the number one contender, then you're the number one contender. So you should challenge him. And to me, I don't know if you're going to start booking the downfall of the Undisputed Era. Bobby Fish isn't there. Roderick Strong's pulling double duty, maybe have him defend his, United States Championship and the Tag Team Championship. Then maybe that forces them to lose the Tag Team Championship. But I think you can't keep building up the Forgotten Sons and then just have them lose in the title match. If you're going to build them up, you got to have them win it once, and those guys, I feel like they deserve it. They've been there long enough. Wesley Blake has obviously had tag team gold before, but just give them the rub at least once, and then then because you need to build up more tag teams, because then you could build up a babyface tag team to beat the Forgotten Sons.
That would be nice. I mean, you're right, because for example, like the Undisputed Era don't even have number one contenders for the tag titles. That's
Yeah.
the main problem. Like NXT, because of like their focus, has shifted to
Hmm.
like the main storylines, the North American Championship, like Baszler, Ciampa, Cole, Keithley, all of those that have been like the main focus on the show. Matt Riddle is there. And
Hmm.
Matt Riddle can always like go up to the NXT Championship contendership also, like in a heartbeat.
Oh
So there
yeah.
hasn't been any effort, at least on my end, to see new tag teams being built up, being
And
elevated.
And I don't know, this is just conspiracy theory, but there's always Vince hates tag team wrestling, and NXT had such a great tag team division. They could even rival AEW's there for a while when they had a lot of those good teams, and then they kept getting called up, called up, called up, and it was almost like Vince was like, "No, I'm going to just call all these teams up, do nothing with them." So now there's no tag team wrestling in all of WWE.
I
And
agree because
because
yeah,
like why? Because now NXT's like fuck, we have nobody. Because they have all these singles talents. You don't want to put guys like Kushida and someone and like Matt Riddle. You don't want to make them a team. I'm just picking random guys here, but
yes,
you don't want to throw random singles competitors in a tag team because then that takes away from their main draw, which is a singles position. So it's a tough thing because they have to go out and find tag teams, but all the tag teams are signing with AEW or they're already with Ring of Honor or some other promotion. So it's
New
like,
Japan, yeah,
yeah, it's like,
you're
what are you
right.
going to do? There's
You're
nobody
right.
out
Like
there.
that's the main issue, and you're right. I agree with like your conspiracy theory right there. There might be some a little bit of that. Vince doesn't really like like tag team wrestling, and for example, like what they should do is bring like the revival back for a few
Yeah.
matches. Why don't they do that?
Yeah.
Or even
Because to
bring the
me, if
new.
you, yeah, like you said with them, if you want to keep the revival, on your company and not jump ship, You move them to NXT and let them wrestle every week. That's how you'll keep them. That's how you'll get them to sign 5-year deals.
And you know that, like, for example, if the Revival comes back on NXT TV, are they going to be heel or are they going to be face?
Oh, I think they'll be face for a while, and you could have it where they're face, they win the belts, and then immediately shit on the fans, become heel. That's all
Exactly,
you got
and
to
you
do,
can, and
and
yeah, for
then you go from
example,
there.
or have like you suggested, have the Forgotten Sons and the Revival, have them in a feud, and
Yeah,
after that, completely turn and go back to being
yeah.
the heel,
And
like hate
who's
on the
not to
fans
say
and all
when
of that.
who knows how the title thing goes, and then we can get back into the show after this. But who knows how the title contention's going to go when Johnny comes back? Unless Johnny is going to immediately try to get revenge on Balor, you could reform DIY, Ciampa and Gargano, babyface team. So there's a lot of things you could definitely do. So we'll
You
see.
could do
What they
like
do.
that, for
Yeah.
example. See, that's a great idea. You could do DIY once again, and for example, you could have.
Especially if you call the Revival down and the Revival wins the belt because they had such a great feud. The Revival could say we're the best team in NXT history, blah blah blah. Because
We're
if I
back.
Yeah, we're back. There's no one who can beat us. Boom, DIY's music hits and they come out. That pop would be huge. So that's the one thing they could do.
It would be nice because, like I said, I agree with you because they could relieve the great feud that they have on 2016. Around that
Yeah.
2016 is when they had like the big, like the two out of three falls match that it was
Hmm.
absolutely amazing, and then
Oh my
Ciampa
God,
turned
yeah.
heel. Then Ciampa turned heel, but they could do those things because at this moment NXT does not have any face tag teams or any good tag teams. Before after the Forgotten Sons, you have Breezango, and Breezango what it is.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, not even on NXT they've been able to thrive, and
Yep.
that's a big problem. Moving along, John Paul, we have the match that it was supposed to be scheduled. It was Rhea Ripley against Dakota Kai, but the match never takes place. The match
Yeah,
never takes place. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Dakota Kai, she comes out, and then Rhea Ripley comes out, and this is one of the things, like I said earlier, this was a marquee match. You know, Dakota Kai and Rhea Ripley, and Dakota Kai and Tegan Knox. Those are two big money matches that we want to see. And even the rematch with Candice LeRae, I wouldn't mind seeing, but because that match, ended in a DQ when she used the cast or the knee brace.
Yes.
So, you know, Ray Ripley comes out, and like I said, you don't want to see this yet because this is a marquee match. She comes out, and she's like, you had a setup for us at War Games by turning heel, but that's the funny thing, about setups or whatever word she used. And then out comes Mia Yim. And then, Mia Yim is beating her up, this and that. And then the horsewomen come out and they attack Rhea Ripley. But before we get into that other segment, this whole beatdown, because, she did beat up Mia Yim. And then she was like, oh, she took her place in the War Games match. And that was only for her to call, to beat up Tegan Knox and try to screw her team over. I would have had it where Rhea Ripley's music hits and she's just standing there at the ramp, staring it down, like, where is she? Where is she? Let's do this. I would have had Mia Yim come from the crowd, jump the barricade with a kendo stick, and beat the shit out of her. I would have had the setup like that. Then, as she's getting beat down, have Rhea Ripley come out through the curtain or gorilla, whatever you want to call it, come out with the mic. Then be like, oh, yeah, this is the funny thing. As Dakota Kai's getting beat up, then have the horsewomen jump her. Because it was almost set up where, like, the ref was there and he was like, oh, is this a match? It was just kind of weird. I would have had the beat down more like a surprise. I said from the crowd, beat her up with a kendo stick, 5-6 swings, and then Mia Yim can take off back through the crowd like a
I
hit and run.
I agree with you, and the one thing that, like, for example, this match when they set it up, it didn't make any sense because who are they gonna have lose?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
Dakota Kai is the heel. She just turned heel. Why will she cannot lose? Rhea
That's what
Ripley,
I'm.
she's number one contender. Why will you have her lose? So you're right. They book themselves in corners that are very difficult to come out. So probably they realize of like the mistake that they made, and that's why they did this whole thing. But the one
You
thing I
did.
want to mention from you also is like Mia Yim did not show any intensity. Like this girl did not give me the same kind of intensity that she gave me at the ladder match with Io Shirai.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I'm saying she should have just because that when she came out with the kendo stick 2-3 weeks ago, whenever that was, and was swinging it, like I said, she'd be doing the Sandman proud because I was legit, and that's what you had to do again tonight. jumped the barricade. It was fine. She was in sweatpants and a t-shirt. She's not wrestling tonight. So that's fine. She don't need to be all geared up. But come out, boom, 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 swing and beat the shit out of Dakota Kai, even grab the knee brace and start hitting her with that, and then run off again. And that's it.
That's what it should have been done.
30 seconds and done. It not throwing her around the ring and doing this. It's like, is this a match? Ring the bell. I don't know what's going on.
And then one thing, like you said, is like the referee didn't do anything. So as a viewer, I'm confused of what's going on.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to interject, because that's what I mean. If she would have came out with a weapon, maybe the ref would have been like, fuck, I'm not getting involved. I'm not going to get beat with that weapon. But she was just wrestling her. So the ref could have tried to get involved and shove them apart, but there was none of that.
Yeah, she should have been, get out. This is supposed to be a match. You're not part of the match. Just leave. And of course, after that, then Rhea Ripley was right there also. And then the horsewomen jump on Rhea Ripley and they started attacking her. And of course, then Shayna Baszler put a Kirafura clutch. And then, of course, Rhea Ripley gets, and in this time, she gets beat down. She gets beat down.
And I like how she had the Kirifuda clutch on her, and she was, trying to break it up and all that with her hands, but then the other horsewomen pulled their arms away. So she couldn't,
That's a nice detail, because, that, power-wise, she has enough power to come out of the Kirafura clutch.
And that's one of those things where, they set up this the Becky Lynch, Shayna Baszler thing is hot. I feel you're going to have Shayna Baszler. I could see her winning the Royal Rumble for the women.
That's not out of the possibilities.
So I see her winning the Royal Rumble, and then boom, Becky Lynch, WrestleMania, and that's the match. That books itself. If they fuck that up, then they're brain dead. But, so that's the match there. So that's the whole story. She could have ripped Shayna's hands apart, but the horsewomen grabbed her arms. Now in 2 weeks, maybe she'll get it on her. She'll rip, her hands apart, break out of the Kirifuda clutch, and then she'll be the new champions. But, it's still a good match, even though it might be a little predictable. But now, like NXT's always done, because we always predicted, Shayna's going to lose. She's going to lose to Candice. She was going to lose to Io. She was going to lose to Kyrie. She's going to lose to Ember Moon. Going all the way back there, and she just doesn't lose. So I'm excited for the match.
Oh, yeah. I feel...
And I do like the one thing, not to cut you off, I do like the one thing where Shayna actually challenged Rhea, because she's so pissed. Rhea almost broke the hold. She needed her goons to hold Rhea's arms back. Rhea, she is getting all the praise from Survivor Series weekend, even though Shayna was the one who actually,
main evented.
Yeah, she main evented, but Rhea is getting all the praise. So she's like, you know what? You want the title match? So do I. Because she wants to, shut Rhea up, but it might blow up in her face.
Oh, yeah. I really feel that the one thing that, this match is probably going to be the last match. Rhea Ripley is going to win the championship. Mm-hmm. I really feel that she's going to win the championship, and that will be Shayna Baszler's exit, and that will be her call-up for the main roster.
Yeah, because
that's what it should be, the next transition for Shayna Baszler. Yeah, so I really feel that that's what should happen.
You got to think also, if they don't capitalize on the Becky Lynch storyline now, are we going to care about it in 6 months from now to revisit it? It's not as much. We will, but. You got to capitalize on that now. So that's what I mean. On the Royal Rumbles there, how would that be? Boom, we hear the buzzer, Shayna Baszler, the horse, that would be badass.
I will say to you, the two that I will appoint to win the Royal Rumble, right now in December, I will say either Shayna Baszler or a returning Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Because they still have that story with Becky. If she decides to come back to the WWE, they could easily revisit that route. Mm-hmm. But if not, they have in Shayna Baszler a great replacement for Ronda Rousey. And you just said the match books itself, because everybody wants to see that, and we hope that they deliver better than what they did in the triple threat.
Yeah, the triple. I don't even know really what was up with that triple threat. Yeah,
felt really flat.
To be honest,
yeah. Well, we have our video on the Survivor Series results, so please you can go and check it out. We said it was very lackluster. It was
that's what I mean. Even just thinking back on it, it felt like nobody cared. The timing was off between all three women, and it was just, somebody takes a bump, they roll out of the ring, and it's a one-on-one match, and it was just everybody felt flat. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
like I
Like,
think, and the energy, the paper
yeah,
was so long, everybody was already tired, the whole energy was sucked out, and the timing of it, like you said, was bad. And also, like they didn't have enough chemistry with each other. I mean, like Bayley fell out of place for me.
yeah,
Becky Lynch and Shayna was the main thing, but of course they added Bayley, but Bayley didn't even do much to
yeah.
get the match. So we'll see where they go with this, but like I think that like Rhea Ripley is going to be the one that takes the title of Shayna Baszler. So
Oh
we
yeah.
get a promo from Finn Balor. This is he's saying that the Undisputed Era has been carrying the NXT brand for this year and for the past 2 or 3 years. But he reminds everybody that before NXT was even a brand, it was Finn Balor who put them on the map. It was
Hmm.
me. He says I was the one that carried this brand or this side of the company on my shoulders. And if there's an NXT right now, and he's an NXT that beat Survivors, beat Raw and SmackDown is because of me. So you see, Balor is going back to his, is still the heel turn, still
Hmm.
maybe a Prince debit, kind of like in there. So we'll, later on we're gonna like talk about the main event. Matt Riddle right now, and we're gonna talk about him and Cassius Ohno. They had a match, and we gotta remember that Matt Riddle and Cassius Ohno was Matt Riddle's like debut feud.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we definitely seen them before, and it was one of those things where this match wasn't anything different than really because we've seen them wrestle two, 3 times before this to wrestle again. I love Cassius Ohno. Chris Hero. I always got to call him by his real name.
That's a
So
legit name.
yeah. So
CM Punk even loves the guy because they used to fight in Ring of Honor. Yeah,
yeah.
Chris
So
Hero.
so I know I love the guy, and he used to be the knockout artist. Now he's the wrestling genius. I think he was calling
Yes,
himself. But
yes.
you know, this was mostly he was there promoting the Worlds Collide.
Worlds Collide.
NXT UK versus
NXT
NXT.
NXT
In the
US.
yeah. So that I'm excited to see, especially if it's champions versus champions, if that's how they're going to do it. Imagine if it's Keith Lee versus Walter. That would be a hell of a match.
That would be
Um,
awesome. That would be
yeah,
awesome.
so there's
Two
tons of
mega
stuff.
powers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That would be like, I'm just thinking about that is awesome. But there's tons of stuff you could do. And unfortunately, Cassius Ohno is one of those guys that I hate to say because, like I said, I love him, but he's like a jobber almost. He's a
He became a
glorified jobber.
jobber. He's
Yeah,
been a
and
jobber on
but
NXT, and
but
it
you
sucks.
knew, yeah, you knew Matt Riddle wasn't going to lose here. But I mean, it was a decent match for what it was. But I mean, Matt Riddle's one of those guys where he needs to be a champion. So give him the United States Championship. If he's not going for, Adam Cole, if he's not going to be the heavyweight champion of NXT, soon, or if you plan to call him up to the main roster soon as well, at least give him, something.
Oh yeah, well, Matt Riddle, like the match, like what you said, it was really good. It's something that we've seen before. We've seen before in NXT Takeover. They fought in two per takeovers, and the first one it was 2 seconds. Matt Riddle hit the knee, 1, 2, 3. Then of course Cassius Ohno wanted a rematch. He got that. Matt Riddle won that again, and at the end, Matt Riddle wins with the Bro Derek. That's his finisher or the
Mm-hmm.
Bro Mission. I think that's called. And well, once again, he's Matt Riddle. I mean, he's just a great wrestler, and like you said, like for him, he has written on his forehead NXT Championship or at least North American Championship. Matt Riddle is really over with the crowd. His character is big. Everybody loves the guy, and he's a hell of a wrestler. So why
Yeah,
not?
and the thing, a lot of people were thinking, oh, Matt Riddle, he's not going to win anything because he's main roster bound. He's going to win the Royal Rumble and he's going to beat Lesnar and all this other stuff. Now I think that's almost Keith Lee.
Oh yeah,
Like I said, I mean, the possibility is like, even though I just said he could be the NXT champ, go against Walter, I'd love to see that. But that's what I love about, especially WWE and NXT mostly right now, is everything is so open. Like the thing, a lot of some stuff with AEW is a little bit predictable. Like if the match is with Jericho and Jungle Boy, if that on the 18th is going to be a title match, Jericho's not going to lose.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah.
he's not.
Jericho's not gonna.
Jungle Boy's not going to be your AEW World Heavyweight Champion. So at least
That is
not yet.
something that like you're
And then
mentioning, and I really enjoy that you mentioned this because that's the thing that the matches that AEW does, yes, you're giving a showing to guys that like you're building up new guys, you're building up new stars. But like you said, it's not believable the Jungle Boy is gonna beat Chris Jericho. So
yeah,
that it's just a showing for
unless
them.
Unless now, if they say that this match is non-title, then I wouldn't doubt if Jungle Boy wins. Give
It
him,
could be.
but
It could be. You
but
could be Luchasaurus could be interfering
yeah,
in the match, so that could be a situation right there.
yeah.
But
But back to NXT, like that's the one thing I love is just it's so unpredictable, and it's like who's gonna be what, and that's the one thing I really enjoy because you have to watch because you need to know who's gonna win. It's not like I can skip this week because I know who's gonna win. It's really
oh yeah,
unpredictable, which I like.
and you said like they use a lot of the 50-50 booking, so that's important because you're giving a good showing to everybody.
Hmm.
And when they lose a match, sometimes they don't lose clean, or there's like a fuck finish. There's situations right there that like at least both of them look good in the end.
Yeah,
Whoever wins get the win, yeah, but like the loser also looks good.
yeah,
It's still
exactly. Like,
believable.
yeah,
You're
like the
not burying
opening.
your own talent.
Yeah, like the opening match tonight with
Yes.
the or not last night with the Kilian Dunn and Pete Dunne and Kilian Dane. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah, tongue tie.
yeah. There
Yeah.
you go. Look, well, we got Jean Paul has been talking the whole day because we had 2 reviews to do. So forgive the guy. And we have Jean Paul returning Kushida. I know you're big with Japanese wrestlers.
Yeah.
He's a legit guy. He is returning after 2 months of absence. He got 2 broken ribs from the match with Walter. So he spent some time recovering. He had a video package showing that he brought his family to the States. He said that like this absence has made him more hungry to show the best version of Kushida. So he comes back and he beats Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, and who was it supposed to wrestle? He was supposed to wrestle. I forget who it was. Someone else, and Cameron Grimes came out and stomped him.
Raul Mendoza.
Yeah, yeah,
Raul
yeah.
Mendoza. Yeah, but Cameron Grimes shows up and they had the match, back and forth. But Kushida is the guy that like they always have to they want to push the guy.
Yeah.
Kushida has been like a main acquisition from NXT, and of course he has to get the win over Grimes. The match was really good, really short. I will say it was good for what it was. But
Yeah, and I think I think it was he got the roll up win. I think I don't
yes.
think yeah. So it was kind of one of those where this was another match where it protects Grimes because this was the start of this feud because Cameron Grimes obviously they're trying to push him in like that Baron Corbin sense where he just has really short matches and he's a really unstoppable type guy. Not many people can take him to the limit. He had a good match with Matt Riddle. That was a longer match. This match with Kushida wasn't very long, but this was just, again, it was, something to plant the seed for the feud. I could see these guys having a 10, 9, 8, who knows, even 15-minute match, book something like that on the 18th. As
Yeah,
their
they could
second
do
match,
something
so they
like that.
could.
Yeah, and you need to rebuild Kushida because a lot of people especially because he wasn't when he was injured, it was just when NXT was going to the 2 hour thing. So
Yep.
of course many people have already forgotten about him. So you need to rebuild Kushida because he could be at some point a main event player.
Oh yeah.
For example,
Yeah, he
wouldn't
could
you
be
enjoy?
how
Yeah,
they
wouldn't
fucked
you?
up. Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was gonna say how they fucked up. What's his Kenta? What did they call him when they
Oh
brought him
yeah,
in?
Hideo Itami.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they dropped the ball with him big time. And this could be like where they're oh, we screwed up, but now we'll make it right with Kushida.
Well,
You know.
I think that they did it right with Nakamura, so that
Yep.
will be a really good example with Kushida also. And he needs a lot of wins under his belt so he can get momentum. He can get hot because,
Hmm.
like I said, a lot of people don't even forget that Kushida is part of NXT.
Yeah.
Also, Jean Paul, we got news that next week we're gonna see the match that we've been asking for the past 2 weeks: Cruiserweight Championship match, Leo Rush against Angel Garza, the real successor of Eddie Guerrero and
Yep.
not the Spanish
The
God,
real Spanish God.
the real Spanish God, because he's you said Jean Paul in your review. I'm sorry, but Sammy Guevara is a hell of a wrestler, but can you please win a match?
Hmm.
Can you please win a match instead of be blogging, doing the Facebook Live with Robrick? Don't be
Yep.
doing that. Win a match, and then if you want to Skype with us, please go ahead, but win a
Yeah.
freaking match.
Yep. Exactly. Win a match before you talk to us.
Yeah, before you talk to us, win a match. And please win the match. It was a good start, good match. last night, but at the end of the day, what happens? You lost
Yeah,
once
because
again.
would you the one thing that like really pisses me off to go into it a little bit, they keep calling him like the Eddie Guerrero comparison, but Eddie Guerrero would never job out like this week after week after week. You wouldn't do that to someone of his caliber. So clearly they put Sammy Guevara in the inner circle to be the fall guy. Because you're not going to have Jake Hager lose. You're not going to have Jericho lose. You're not going to have Santana and Ortiz lose. But the inner circle needs to have a weak link. So it's him. So he's just the job guy of the inner circle. But if he's
It's
going to
a
be your
job guy.
job guy, why? That's like saying Eddie Guerrero is a job guy. Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
yeah, and then and Angel Garza is absolutely different. And Angel
Yep.
Garza, I think, in my opinion, he represents a little more to the Hispanic culture because he reminds me of Eddie Guerrero. And I've said this before, you've said this before. Here is like to me is again, I will say this one more time, is like Alberto Del Rio and Eddie Guerrero combined in one.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're gonna get the match that we've been asking for the past 3 weeks. So that's something that we're gonna really be looking forward to. And I feel that we're gonna see probably a title change.
Yeah, and this is next week, right? This isn't 2 weeks. This
It's
isn't for
not the
that
18th.
loaded.
It's
Yeah.
actually next week. Yep, it's
Yeah, I
next
mean,
week.
but both of these weeks of NXT are going to be loaded. You have that triple threat for the number one contender. So like, they're both going to be loaded, great shows, and I'm excited for this match. I wouldn't doubt if this match probably opens the show next week.
Yeah, or they could close the show.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even upset if it closed the show. But to me, it didn't. You like you said, they're gonna put it to open the show, or even like to go into the second hour.
oh
In
yeah,
at the beginning of 9 o'clock. But I feel that like it's gonna be a great match. But I can really predict that it's gonna be a title switch. I can see Angel Garza being the new face of the cruiserweight division
yeah.
because
This is
Leo
it.
Rush is not really doing a lot with the title, and
Yeah,
I think Garza is gonna give it more, make it more relevant.
yeah. They're like in a rock, stuck between a rock and a hard place. I feel with this cruiserweight division because they have guys, but they don't have a lot of guys. Oni Lorcan was there, and now he's fuck WWE, fuck Triple H. He's gone off the deep end. He's one of those Twitter warriors who's just going on a rampage. So he's done.
That
So
he's
you don't have,
upset. Yeah.
yeah. So you don't have a lot of guys who you can bounce this title between, and they booked this match. So it's like, if Angel Garza loses, where does he go? So, but unfortunately, it's the same thing for Leo Rush. If he drops the title, what's Leo Rush going to do? I mean, you could put him in matches with guys like Kushida, and even you could even put him in a match with like Tommaso Ciampa, Finn Balor, Adam
You can
Cole,
do
and they'd
Pete
all be
Dunne.
great
You
matches.
can do
Yeah,
Pete
Pete
Dunne.
Dunne.
Yeah.
But I mean, hopefully they just book him like that. Hopefully they don't just. I don't think Triple H would, but you don't want to see these guys locked in the cruiserweight division. I'd like to see them go against guys who are bigger and
It should be like that. It should be that openness for guys like this to actually have matches with the regular
yeah, because
talent, so to
yeah,
say.
you would think guys, Finn Balor's only 190 some pounds, I think. Rey Mysterio, this is he was wrestling guys that were bigger than him in 97, 98. So this is one of those things where that shouldn't be a stigma anymore. You should just be able to put anybody against anybody.
Yeah, and then I agree with you. So we're gonna get that match. So we're excited about it. My
Oh yeah.
prediction is gonna be Angel Garza is gonna be our new cruiserweight champion. What is your prediction?
It's tough. I'm just gonna counter you. I'm gonna go with Leo Rush. I want to see Angel Garza. I love him, but I don't know. I think it's just too soon. You gave Leo Rush the title, even though I did predict him before. But now I feel you gave Leo Rush all these wins. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Leo Rush. That's just how I
Okay,
feel
well
at the
then
moment.
we'll figure it out next week when we
Yep.
go back to do this. We'll be like who was right and who
Yep.
wasn't. So main event time. Jean Paul, Keithley, Tommaso Ciampa, and Dominik Dijakovic against the Undisputed Era. And the faces win this match.
Hmm.
Action packed, 6-man bout. It was not really long. It was just 10 minutes or so before the show ended. Of course, they got to do the overlap of the 10-15 minutes because they had a special after NXT. They had a big WrestleMania moment special on the USA Network, narrated by John Cena. But the match itself, we've seen this already, Jumbo. We've seen
Hmm.
this on War Games. We've seen this throughout the whole build-up for Survivor Series. So it's a little bit more of the same for me. But the main stuff that took place is towards the end because Finn Balor comes out.
Hmm.
Finn Balor comes out. He's attacking Ciampa. He's attacking Cole. And then you just see the most
Yeah, this was
impact,
the best moment of the night
the
for
most
sure.
impactful moment of the show. And I will say that made me make me wanna like get out of my couch. I was just drinking my tea because I'm a Wawa tea drinker. I'm sorry, I'm trying to clean myself up. I've been a soda drinker for the longest time. I see Finn Balor about to start shooting, and out of nowhere, Keithley.
Ooh, just rises up. That was the best. Because when you see it, the camera angle, like I said, in AEW, whoever is in their production truck, especially with the sound issues. I don't know if you had sound issues on your end.
Everybody had sound
Yeah.
issues, yeah. And
Like the
I'm glad that
person,
you mentioned that
yeah,
on the review because the first half hour was absolute
yeah,
trash.
the person in that truck needs to be fired or they need to do something. But whoever is in charge of, obviously Kevin Dunn does main roster. Whoever's doing NXT is just as good because you could not. How do you hide Keith Lee? He's a huge man. And the way that they had that camera angle, you did not see him until he started rising from the depths, and it was a beautiful shot.
Oh yeah, like
And, and Finn Balor played it off like he had no clue he was there, and that's
exactly.
the
So like
that was it.
you're saying it the best. These guys know when to turn the cameras, when to have certain angles to make things more believable, and this was the case because Keith Lee was absolutely dominant after that spot. Of course, there were some distractions. Adam Cole was trying to hit the last shot, but Keith Lee counters right away, and then he gets the spirit bomb for the 1, 2, 3, and the faces win.
I think he hit the fireman's carry
I
Jack.
think it's the
Yeah, yeah,
fireman
yeah, yeah,
carry. Yes, he did like the same thing that he beat Seth Rollins with.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the same thing. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I think
No, no,
that
you're good.
it was a devastating move though because you see even
Oh yeah.
Adam Cole like so super selling the move. He was super selling the move 1, 2, 3, and at the end, the Undisputed Era is going back, and then you see William Regal coming out, and then he stays the match that is going to take place next week to set up the #1 contender for the NXT Championship on the 18th. So he says it's going to be everybody that's been involved in all this situation is going to be Tommaso Ciampa, Finn Balor, and there's silence for like a good 3, 4 seconds, and Keith Lee. So he's gonna be added. He's been added. So we have a triple threat match for next week. It's gonna be so interesting, and that's the good thing. For example, seeing William Regal come out, that's
Hmm.
really nice. How like maybe AEW needs something like that. Maybe like a manager, like a GM,
Yeah,
or
they
somebody
do.
that is in charge
I
of
would
that.
love to see that because I feel you must have like an acting GM of Cody Rhodes, and because he always comes out and says how he's involved backstage, but I want to see somebody like obviously DDP is in Cody's little group, so it can't be him. But you have guys like Dean Malenko back there, Jerry Lynn. You have all these different wrestlers who people are familiar with to a certain extent. You could have one of them be your GM. You could do
Just give
something
him
like
that
that.
GM role, but
Yeah,
like you said, William Regal is the kind of GM
or
that
like
is
a
not
or not
always there.
yeah, or like a commissioner, or whatever you want to call him
Like
for
Mick
your
Foley
yeah
used to be
yeah
during the Attitude Era, and
yeah
something like that. I saw an influential figure that you can
yeah
go and be like, hey, I want a match with this, or like, well, you could say AEW has the rankings, all right, but like at least a GM, some like an authority figure, just to see
yeah
like who handles the show, who is in charge of the shows, because like you said, Cody is the vice president or the president of the whole AEW thing, but. It's not kind of cool that like he's also in charge of that, and he is also an active member of the roster. So
yeah.
yeah, they should have like a figure
Because
that.
people would shit on that when it was Triple H and stuff, but now it's Cody and it's okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're
So
right. I mean, he's a good promo, but to me,
uh,
like I said, like he's starting to build newer stars, so I give that to Cody. And when
mm,
it comes to him, I think that like many people are saying, that's one of the greatest promos of all time, or like the best promo 2019. I will say, if you want to give that award to somebody, that has to be Jericho. That has to be Jericho, and I'm sorry, not to Cody. Cody's
oh,
awesome, but
I
he's not in
and
that category yet for me.
call me a mark, but even some of Rey Mysterio's promos against Brock Lesnar were pretty good. I wouldn't say they were the best of the year, but they were pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Some of his whole string of promos with Dominik and all that stuff. Some of them were pretty good.
see, like for example, like
So,
Rey Mysterio in this new side of him is really good. But
hmm
anyway, so just to close, like your thoughts about the triple threat: who wins and why?
I'm gonna. It's tough because Keith Lee got the pin here, so I almost automatically say Keith Lee's out because I have this main roster. If I had to put money on it, he's going to go up to the main roster. I don't know if he wins the Royal Rumble, if that's where he makes his debut, but I mean, I would love to see him debut in the Rumble. I mean, I'd love to see him win it and beat Lesnar. If Lesnar's not doing if he's not going to drop the title till Mania, that would be the perfect thing to do it. You know,
And
have
he
him
will be
drop it.
probably want something that he will be a believable contender in Keith Lee.
Yeah,
Because if he delivers
but
that spirit bomb, he's not getting up.
yeah, so that is one thing that I think he's slated for. And like I said, I could see Triple H. He could really pull that swerve with, you could give the belt to Finn Balor, then a returning Gargano feuds, and maybe Finn drops the belt to Gargano, and then you could do Gargano and Ciampa.
That will be also
Then you
good.
could
So you
be
can play
something.
that back and forth.
Yeah, then you turn Ciampa heel, and he's like, this was mine. I came back. This was my story. His finishing move is the fairy tale ending. This was supposed to be my fairy tale ending, and you fucked it all up, Johnny. So he turns heel on Johnny again. There's so much you could do. I'm gonna go. If I have to pick right now, I'm gonna go with Tommaso Ciampa wins it, and I'm gonna say then he loses on the 18th. I'm gonna go with. Yeah, I'm going to go with Ciampa, but I'm excited. It's going to be a hell of a match either way.
We're going to be tuning in. So for me, I'm going to say it's Keith Lee. Keith Lee is on fire right now, and he needs that kind of showing.
Does he win it then next week? Then what's your prediction then for 2 weeks?
He wins it, he becomes #1 contender, but he will lose the title match against Adam Cole, but that will be his exit from NXT. If he's going to be called up, I will not get rid of Keith Lee. Keith Lee is on absolute fire, and you can have Johnny come back because you can put Johnny and Baszler in a match and just keep this feud with Adam Cole. Keith Lee with Adam Cole. But Ciampa, I think that he will have to wait a little more. He'll have to wait a little more. For example, like you said, let's say that Ciampa is about to win this triple threat, and Johnny comes back, and he pulls Ciampa out, and you can have the feud with Ciampa also.
If anything, I think Johnny would go after Finn. I don't think Johnny would go after Ciampa yet. That don't make really any sense storyline wise. I think he'd go after Finn now. But like you said, they could do anything, and
they can do anything. Yeah. Or for example, have another triple threat later on. He'd be Johnny, Ciampa, and Baszler, because you're gonna keep Keith Lee in that main event scene with Adam Cole. But my thing, I really think that Keith Lee is such on fire that they're gonna capitalize on that, especially knowing that they lost in the ratings this week.
Because
they've been pulling big guns.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say with that is what Vince wants, Vince gets. If he wants Keith Lee on the main roster, it don't matter what anybody else fucking says, wants, cries for.
It's a good farewell to be like, okay, you're going to win the triple threat, #1 contender, you go against Adam Cole, great match, great showing. At the end of the day, you don't pull out.
That would definitely be, if he's going to have a last match, losing in a championship match would definitely be a better send-off than losing in a triple threat. So, because I don't think Keith Lee's going to take the pin in that triple threat. But, that would mean if Ciampa wins, that would mean you pin Finn Balor. So, it's one of, and, I don't know if you probably don't want to see Finn Balor take a pin until he challenges for a championship if Finn Balor is going to lose in that championship match. So it's really tough to say who wins. This match could end in like you said, it could end in a fuck finish. We could get a fatal 4-way for the championship. Who knows what could happen? I don't think they'll do a fatal 4-way. That's craziness, but you never know, and that's why NXT I think is as hot as AEW is. I think NXT is the hottest brand right now.
I will say, because of the talent of the roster and because how many storylines they have already set up that you could actually play with. Listen to me, if NXT will have a monthly pay-per-view schedule, you could either have, see this, pay-per-view match with Ciampa the 1 month, the next Keith Lee, the next Finn Balor, and you can have interact all these guys going in so many ways for the champion.
I don't like the monthly pay-per-view. I think that's overkill. I think it's good how they have it for NXT. I think NXT they're in a good spot because they have more than AEW. I think AEW is only going to have 4, maybe 5 But
Yeah.
like NXT, they do certain shows like these Worlds Collide show, and they're doing one the Royal Rumble weekend and all that stuff. So they have like these shows, and then the big pay-per-view events, obviously. So I think they have it right. Monthly pay-per-views, because you see how WWE, they're not even building towards anything. We
Oh
just
no,
got
like,
done
well,
with Survivor Series, and then now there's no TLC build. So
we always said, and you know this, Jean Paul. After Survivor Series, WWE, well, the main roster mainly, they go back to be like on airplane mode.
mhm.
They just don't care. They just start putting even lousier television when there could actually be a chance to give some kind of meaning to TLC, but they don't do that. So
Yeah, I mean,
unfortunately,
I would just get rid of Extreme Rules and TLC. I would just combine them into one pay-per-view where every match is a gimmick. Every match is either no DQ or it's a TLC, use all the toys and just kind of eliminate some of these pay-per-views and space them out a little more. But
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
you
that's the
could.
thing. But like to your original point, NXT has so much talent and they have so much storylines. They have all this stuff in the women's division. They have all these storylines. Now you got Kushida and Cameron Grimes. You have Damian Priest, and he could go against Kilian Dain or Pete Dunne. And, you have a triple threat, and that could go either way. You have 6-match combination from those guys. You have so much you could do in the main event scene. The only thing that's lacking in NXT that
It's
AEW
tag
has
team.
an advantage of is tag teams.
Is the tag team. Absolutely. Absolutely, Jean Paul. And this is what I did. That's what I mean. Like the depth of the
Yep.
roster on NXT and the ability of pull out so many storylines. That's what make this brand so much better. I would say
Hmm.
AEW, well, they're still growing. They're still developing. It will
Oh,
be
yeah.
really unfair to say the one is better than the other one, knowing that the one is
Yeah.
just, taking place, it's just developing, it's just in the infant stages yet.
Yeah.
So it
I
would be
know
very unfair to say that.
the
But
only what you said it about being unfair. I'm going to stop being unfair and judge them the same as everyone else. I believe they have an off season, correct? They're going to have AEW's going to have a time where
I
they
feel
take a
that they're
break.
gonna have an off season for
I
what they
think they
said.
said that. So when they take that off season, to me, that's like season one. Like if we're gonna view this like a television show, that's their first season. After they come back the next season, I'm 100%. If your sound is shit, I'm gonna blast you. If this is shit, I'm gonna blast you. To me, it's like you give them their first year to get everything settled, and then after that, then there's no more hand holding. Then there's no more saying, "Oh, they're new, they're this and that." Because if you're gonna shoot at NXT and say you guys are minor leagues, you guys are shit, and then when you get beat in the ratings, you come up with excuses and all these other reasons. Hey, you lost 1 week out of 7 weeks or 8 9 weeks, whatever. Hold your head up high because it's one loss. So don't make excuses. Just
I
both companies need to do what they
I
do
just can
best.
I just have
That's
to agree with you. I just have
yeah.
to agree with you. There's no other way to defend it because you're right. First season, we can admit anything. I mean,
Mhm.
we can be lenient when it comes to that. It's like when you're new at a job, you can screw it up as many times as you want. The boss is gonna say you're new, keep screwing up. But
Mhm.
within the first 3, 4, 5 months, okay, you have the leeway. You have a
Yep.
pass. But after that, if you keep screwing up, then who's the idiot here? Who's the
Yep.
one to blame? Is you're accountable.
Yep.
You're accountable for
Exactly.
everything. So that's the same thing. So this concludes, our review of the show. Please, guys, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets. We have Facebook Road Break, OG Road Break on the Twitter. We have the original Road Break on YouTube and Instagram. Please follow us. Again, we want to say thank you to everyone that is watching the videos. Thank you for the amount of love that we had on our video of the Broken Skull sessions with The Undertaker. We really appreciate it. Jean Paul, myself, we want to say thank you again, and we'll see you guys soon. We have a
Yep.
lot of news to cover and everything. So, Jean Paul, thank you.
Yeah.
And
No problem. Ada.
ah!